What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. And if you want to be extra spicy, you can join the channel with that YouTube membership join button down below, or heading on over to Patreon, link in the description, just like these people did. We had The Saint, Tainted Sushi, great name, and some rejoins from Atomic Pecan and Journey Rose. Thank you so much for your support, and I cannot tell you how much it really does mean to me and for everyone for taking the time out of your days to be here. Incredible. Thank you so much. And with that being said, let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. And also thank you for the well wishes towards my father yesterday. It means the absolute world to me. I love you guys for that. Thank you. Now, our first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for asking my brother's entire family to move out because my nephew set my bathroom on fire for TikTok? Oh, God. My 32 female brother, 43 male, his wife 40 female, and their two kids, 9 female and 50 male, have been staying with me for a little over 2 weeks now because they lost their jobs due to the coronavirus and were evicted. 4 people is obviously a large addition, but I didn't want them to be homeless, and they assured me it'd be a temporary stay. 2 days ago, my nephew set my bathroom on fire for TikTok. From what he told me after, there's some kind of trend where you draw a shape on your mirror with hairspray and then light it on fire, and it's supposed to go out on its own without any damage. Well, his fire spread to a nearby stack of towels and it got out of control. We all had to evacuate, but luckily I live relatively close to a fire station, so the damage wasn't that bad. My guest bathroom is scorched and will need repairs, but the rest of my home is okay. I think that my brother and sister-in-law had to have been wildly negligible to allow this to happen, especially considering the lighter he used was my brother's, meaning he must have took it from him at some point. I'm asking them to leave within the next week because I don't want to risk something of this nature happening again. They've apologised and asked me to reconsider because it was an accident. No one was hurt in the end. They'd be homeless if I kicked them out now. And to think of my niece who did nothing. I'm not going to charge them for the repairs because they flat out can't afford it, but I no longer feel safe living with them. You know, this is like a really extreme one because fire is obviously life-threatening in a house with a family. It could have had real bad consequences for what he did. And I'm not making excuses for him per se, but teenagers do some stupid shit. I mean, when I was in high school, and I'm talking around the same age, 15, 16, 17 here, and always in science class, you'd have one group of these lads who would light a gas tap and think it was hilarious. Literally, it was like a flamethrower across the fucking room. I mean, it was huge. And I remember when I was younger, I could easily get hold of matches or a lighter if I wanted to. Hell, when I was a teenager, I did get hold of a lighter quite easily. My parents would have never seen me getting hold of it if I wanted to. If you're a teenager and you really want to get hold of something like that, it's really easy to do so. So I do question, you know, judging the parents based on that, but it would obviously depend on the whole relationship as a whole here. But I can't get that out of my head on the impact this will have on the family if you was to throw them out and they was to be homeless, the impact it will have on you and your family, and do you want to go down that path? I mean, I can't blame you for not wanting them in your house and not feeling safe. That's totally valid to feel that way. But, you know, is it worth losing family over in the end? And again, I'm not playing down the seriousness of what happened here because obviously a fire is a big thing. My family had a fire when I was very young. I'm talking like toddler here, where one of our dogs died from smoke inhalation, and it was an absolute tragic time. So yeah, I am pretty scarred by fire, and it does worry me massively, but trying to put myself in the shoes of these people and thinking what happened, and you know, if it was just a stupid mistake, or is this teen really a reckless person, but I'm just going down, it was a really stupid mistake that someone's picked up on social media and ran with it. You know, last year people with Tide Pods and all that sort of shit doing that. It just shows how influenced teenagers and young people can be by these trends, and adults too. You know, I see loads of adults on TikTok doing these trends as well, so let's not count those out. And I'm not making excuses for it because I don't want to get bitten for this, but I just don't think I would be able to kick my own family out even after that mistake. And that's just my point of view. I'm not backing this person. I'm not saying this person's wrong for if they do kick them out. I'm not saying they're wrong if they don't, but it's just the way I feel about it. I started myself a little TikTok the other day as well. I think it was a couple of days ago, and I put like one of these little meme posts that you see on there, and I'm thinking of doing some choosing beggars on there as well, but I'll let you know in the future when I actually get started with that. I've recorded some, but I haven't put them on there. Anyway, let's go to the comments to see what they say. We have Lane Mel saying, not the arsehole, he lit your house on fire for an internet trend. He's lucky he didn't kill someone. Sounds like someone dangerous to have in the house. And Funky Orange Penguin says, and quotes, I no longer feel safe living with them. Not the arsehole, that's the only reason you ever need. This isn't a candle that got out of hand situation. Insurance doesn't cover intentional dumbassery. It wasn't an accident, and he could have killed someone for a TikTok. And Dream Suggester says, info, do you think the kid learned their lesson and won't do it again? Do you think they will do something stupid again? These are the questions you should be asking yourself, not strangers on the internet. If the answer is no, he didn't learn, kick them out. If the answer is yes, I don't think he will screw up again, let them stay. Also, do you really think it's wildly negligible to have a 15-year-old leave your site for 45 seconds it takes to spray it in like hairspray? You realise you're basically suggesting they watch their children use the bathroom, right? Look, what he did was wrong and they are ultimately responsible, but to say wildly negligible, to let a 15-year-old have privacy in the bathroom when they have presumably never done anything like this before makes no sense at all. Perhaps now it would be negligent to let him go into the bathroom unsupervised, but it certainly wasn't before, since you've listed no previous bad behaviour. And LFO's sighting says, honestly amazed that everyone is saying not the arsehole here. You're the arsehole unless the parents did absolutely nothing to discipline their child after this. 15-year-olds are dumb, that is pure and simple. Him doing some stupid shit for TikTok trend is not grounds for you to kick a family of 4 out onto the street with a week to sort out their affairs. And Krellick replies to this saying, seriously, everyone's like, not the arsehole, let that family eat rats out the dumpster because that 15-year-old made a dumb mistake. Like, Jesus Christ, this sub is bloodthirsty. Now I turn this one to you guys. What do you think of this situation? Kick out the family or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for refusing to help my stepson with his son's surgery after he told me I'll never be his grandfather? I got married to my wife when her son was 14. His mum was single 4 years before meeting me. My stepson was respectful, but he made it clear that he already had a dad. I'm not his father and that I shouldn't try to act like it. I respected his wish. I had no problem with him treating me in a formal and respectful manner. I still handled his educational, daily needs, medical bills. No one told me to. He was just a kid living under my roof. I felt responsible for his well-being until he could be responsible for himself. I do need to say that I lost a son while serving in the military. He was young and he had his whole life ahead of him. We had a lot in common. He loved soccer, cars, country music, loved Eric Church, Alan Jackson and Crystal Gale. I listen to those singers every day to get some comfort. Some people say I'm lucky my son's a hero and things like that. Some say that I must be devastated. Let me tell you, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't feel the way I felt when I received this devastating news the first time. It's all I can say. My stepson had a baby boy with his wife last year. He made it clear that this baby is not my grandson and I'm not his grandfather. I was only able to visit when my wife visited. No photos allowed, no mentioning of the baby, no gifts from me specifically. Nothing. I wasn't allowed to attend his first birthday, and the gift I sent was returned. I'm not gonna lie, it hurt. It still hurts, but I absolutely respected his words. I knew there were lines that I cannot cross, and so I kept to myself. It's not easy, and although my son is not here, I enjoy looking at pictures and videos of when he was younger, thinking I was lucky I had him in my life, especially how my stepson treated me. I don't hate him for it, I'm just grateful for the times I had with my son. A few days ago, my stepson was in the hospital. My wife visits alone. She came home and said that my stepson needs help for his son's surgery and wanted me to pay money. I said I'm sorry, but no. She looked confused. Asked if I was serious, then called me selfish and said that I am ignoring my grandson and acting like I don't care. I told her that is not my grandbaby and that she and my stepson have been acting like it for an entire year. Now they want me to pay. She guilted me, saying I was being cruel to not help family. She and my stepson kept arguing with me and got others involved to shame me for not helping. My stepson argued that I'm trying to hold money over his head and had no right to do that. They didn't stop arguing with me, telling me I needed to pay. His aunt called me saying I needed to help my grandchild because I have money, but I'm not obligated to, yet they call me cruel and selfish. This one really got to me because the whole story I'm just reading that this guy just wants to love his family and all he's getting is shit on by the people that he's trying to show love. I feel extremely sorry for the child in this situation as well. But stepson made that choice to not let you get involved in their lives and not be anything to this child. They made that choice to not let you be even a tiniest part of their lives. So, you know, this is their doing in the end. And for them to then say you're holding money over their heads is like, hell no, hell no. And even the wife in this situation, she even seems incredibly cruel. And I don't understand why you're with these people if they're treating you like this. I'm so sorry you're having to go through that. But Mactman94 says not the arsehole. Your stepson has made it clear from the start that you're not his dad and you're not his son's grandfather. Expecting anything from you, especially money, is uncalled for. If he wanted you to have any kind of relationship with his son, then you'd be allowed to see him without your wife being there. Have photos with the baby, be able to talk about the baby, but nope, none of that. So I wouldn't want to help with this random child surgery, as bad as it sounds. And OP replies, yes, and I'm not doing this out of spite as he claims. He knows how it is. His mother knows they both had no problem treating me like that, and I don't talk about it because I don't want to look pathetic, but everyone just wants to please my stepson and his wife now. I bet they're promising him that they'll pressure me enough to pay. Unfortunately, I don't think things will change. It's been like this for years. My wife says she respects her son's wishes and isn't trying to force him to do anything, but I didn't ask anything from anyone. And Coco Butts Go Nuts says, not the arsehole, your stepson wants you to finance a child surgery that he won't even let you be around. He's using you. I'll tell him to have the real grandfather shell out the money. And a random string of numbers says, not the arsehole, so basically they want you to be the dad/grandfather only when it's convenient for them. No. And El Gran Ricardo says, not the arsehole, tell him to ask his baby's real grandfather. He screwed the pooch when he returned the gift you sent. That was pure spite. And Ashes B77 says, not the arsehole, he can't have it both ways. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation if you was in OP's position? Oh, I hate to say it, but I don't know why he's a part of that family if they're treating him this way. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And our next story is from Zoe's dog. Am I the arsehole for being naked in my own apartment? Okay, so hear me out. I live in an apartment with a floor-to-ceiling windows and a balcony. My neighbours have the same. Our balconies are close but not touching. But if we wanted to, standing against our own railing, we could very easily hug without leaning over too horribly far. With that said, when standing on our balconies, we can see into each other's living rooms easily. My neighbours are a couple about my age, 20s or 30s. Now my situation. I live alone with my dog and cat. After I shower, I sit on my couch and lotion up because water softeners don't exist in this apartment apparently. I also watch TV while doing this, and just like chilling naked in my apartment. One day, the boyfriend's neighbour was on his balcony while I was on my couch, and I didn't notice for a bit till I turned around and saw him. As far as I'm aware, he was working on their grill and trying to not look at me. The girlfriend came out onto the balcony, and what could have been an awkward, oops sorry, I'm going to get dressed in my room now and we will pretend this never happened, turned into a fight on their end. I did get dressed in my room and I didn't hear their fight after they shut their balcony door. About 2 days later, I was walking my dog when I ran into the girlfriend in the hall, going the opposite way. She told me something like, you should be more aware of your neighbours, and maybe you shouldn't be naked out in the open. I apologised and kept walking my dog. This is also the first time we've talked in a year. So, for like a week I got dressed before coming out into my living room, but the need for hydrated skin outweighed my concern of prying eyes, and I started going back to what I've done for a year. So on the one hand, him staring at me is their problem, and quite a perverted thing to do. On the other hand, I'm aware of how exposed I am, and I've been asked not to be naked and expose myself like I am. Should I just suck it up and lotion in the silence of my room, or keep doing what I'm doing? Now, we had a similar story some months back where the guy was naked in his living room, and he wasn't easily seen like in this situation though. The kids kept peeping through his window and he was in there naked, and the parents complained about him. And in that situation, it was a definite not the arsehole. You know, you couldn't be seen in that situation. The kids were literally peeping through the guy's window. Whereas this case, it's a bit different. Your living rooms are exposed to each other when you're out on the balcony, and it sounds like you can quite easily see in there. So unless they try to actively avoid looking in a certain location whilst out on their balcony, you know, this is quite an avoidable situation. So I think you would be the arsehole in this case. And if it is that much of a problem and you do want to walk around naked in the living room where it's out in the open and you can be seen, then why not just get some way of blocking, you know, that particular part of your window so they can't see into you, or the whole window if need be, just so you can be naked in your living room just while you're drying off and lotioning up. Hell, I strut around naked sometimes, but... And as I've said before, we have like big windows on the back room, and you can see me recording right here, and the windows are pretty much ceiling to floor. Not quite, but almost. And yeah, if I'm walking around naked in that room, I'm definitely shutting those curtains because the neighbours can see me, especially the neighbour if he looks over that fence again. Well, there's still a hole there. So I gotta say, you are the arsehole in this situation because, you know, I would get it covered up if I was in that situation. So let's have a look at some of the comments to see what they say. So Akiyak says, so you're definitely allowed to be naked in your apartment, but I'm going to have to go with you're the arsehole for choosing to be naked somewhere you acknowledge people can see you. I'm often naked in my house, but when I am, I don't stand in front of the windows or go into my living room, as it has a large window that directly faces my neighbour's house. And Hellblazer Hawk says, my question, as when this always comes up, is can you just get curtains? And French's lawyer says, have you never heard of drape/blinds? Look, you're certainly entitled to be naked all you want in the comfort of your own home, but if someone can easily look into your unit and see you, that's something to consider. Unless you don't mind the attention/actually want to be seen. If so, cool, just be honest about that. I'm not going to shame anyone for being body positive, especially in their own home. You're not obligated to police another person's behaviour, but you're also aware that the heterosexual man living next door is going to be curious about whether there's a show on, and that's something to deal with. So the easiest solution here is close the drapes/blinds and enjoy the naked time, or be honest with yourself and everyone here and admit there's an exhibitionist aspect here. So because you're either A, won't close the drapes, or B, won't admit you like being seen, I'm going to say you're the arsehole. And only Angel96 says, you're the arsehole. You can be naked in your apartment. I do it all the time, but you acknowledge yourself that they can easily see you, which is what makes you the arsehole. If I had a floor-to-ceiling window and I lived in front of any place where people could reasonably walk by and see in, I wouldn't be naked because I wouldn't want to expose anyone without their consent. Just buy curtains or blinds if that's what you have to do, or put the lotion on in your room. I'm sure you wouldn't be super happy if you walked out on your balcony, turned a certain way, and saw your neighbours going in full view of you. Just put some clothes on or get curtains. Not that difficult. God, whenever I hear the word lotion, I always think of it. Is it Silence of the Lambs? This clip. And when I was searching for this clip, keep this in your mind. I saw this as the top comment on it. When you're at Bath and Body Works with your girlfriend for 2 hours. Put the fucking lotion in the basket. Anyway, I turned this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation and how would you deal with it? Let me know in the comments below, you spicy so-and-sos. And our next story is from Academic Inside. Am I the arsehole for scolding my husband for asking when I think I'll die? My 34 female husband, 34 male, have been together for 5 years, married for 1.5. When we were still dating, we used to ask each other questions about anything, work, people, life, etc. Once he asked me a question about death, like, would you like to be cremated or buried after death? I told him I was uncomfortable about talking about death, especially because my culture considers it super rude and inappropriate to talk about it in a casual setting. Now fast forward to now, where we were eating lunch when he asked me out of nowhere when I thought I would die. I berated him and he became kind of quiet. I think I've upset him, but I also did establish my reluctance to talk about death casually. Mainly because of my culture and the fact I take it seriously. I do think I might be the a-hole because both his parents died in 2020 and his father's death was a shock to all of us. Maybe he's still processing and questioning life. So Reddit, am I the arsehole? And there's a small edit/update to this post that we'll go over in a second after we covered some comments. Now, I'll start off by saying that I can't judge a person's culture about what they think about death and things like that. I'm just not going to do it because I don't know it, I don't understand it, so there's no point in me commenting on it, right? However, from my point of view, I think death is extremely important to talk about, especially over the last couple of years that I've been through. A lot of you know my story and the amount of death I've seen over the last couple of years and the way I look at life in a very, very different way now. When I was younger, not many people used to talk about death and dying, and it used to scare this shit out of me. When I can remember feelings like from a very, very young age, like 10, 11, maybe even younger than that, because my parents were they had me sort of later on in life. I think it was late 30s, early 40s they had me, and I was always worried that I was going to see them die, which obviously is kind of inevitable at some point. It was a scary feeling, and I can still feel that feeling now, you know, about, oh, what happens when they die? I don't want to see them die. I don't want to get to that stage, and it always scared me, and no one ever spoke to me about it or anything like that. Mainly because I didn't bring it up with people, but I do remember that feeling, and I wish I looked at death and things the way I do now back then, if that makes sense. I was always very careful with my words, but, you know, I did talk to my mum about death before she passed away and ask her if she was scared and things like that. I spoke to my dad about death and his will and how he wants his funeral to happen and what his wishes are after he passes away. And I think it makes us all a little bit more relaxed to talk about it. But personally, I think it's just very, very important to talk about death if you can bring yourself to do it. I think it relaxes the whole stigma around it. You know, it's going to happen to us all at some stage. So I think it's very important to talk about. But HDMX539 says, you're the arsehole. You said your father's death shocked the family. Well, that's what happens when you don't talk about death due to culture. Secondly, what a person's wishes are for end-of-life care are very much a spouse's concern, because they will be the one making all of the arrangements when you might possibly be incapacitated. In my opinion, your husband is simply trying to get things in order, and you should too, regarding your husband's end-of-life concerns. And Anna Capri 3 says, you're the arsehole. You could have just told him you didn't want to talk about it, especially since both of his parents died recently. And Madison Green says, you're the arsehole. He'll be in charge of your burial arrangements or cremation arrangements. Death is scary, but it is responsible to let your significant other know about what you want after death. And Sean MC says, you're the arsehole. Just because you may have once told him your feelings on death at some stage in the past doesn't mean your boyfriend can remember your opinion on every matter. No need to berate him. And Gwen says, you're the arsehole. He obviously has a lot on his mind with his parents passing. You are also his wife now. He should be able to talk to you openly about death and what you would like afterwards, etc. And as I said, we have a small update/edit on this post, so we're going to go to that quickly. With edit, I've taken your guys' advice and had a good long talk with him. There was a lot of tears, but we talked about all the happy moments in his parents' lives and my mum's life as well. She's dying from cancer. To be honest, I was getting tired of holding in all my grief, and finally I can mourn with him. It feels good to finally release it all. Thanks everyone. And I hope that means that they have sat down and talked about death and what it means to them and what they do after and all these kind of things. I can't express how much it helps to talk to loved ones about it. Sure, there will be tears, there will be heartache, but getting it out there really, really does help. Obviously, don't pressure yourself to do it. Never pressure yourself to do it. But when I did it, I can't express how good it felt. But anyway, I turned this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation? Do you think it was handled correctly in the end? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories. Bit of a different selection today, I feel. Let me know what you think. Anyway, thanks again, guys. If you do want to support the channel, you can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube or clicking on the link in description for Patreon and joining up there. It really, really does help out, and I cannot express that enough, as always. And a huge thank you for the time out your day, guys. It really does mean the world for you to sit here, listen to a story or two with me. Excellent, excellent stuff. Thank you, guys. Much love, and see you soon. Goodbye.